Somebody asked me how I got into the dog training business, and I was like, well, it's a bit of a story. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. If this is your first time stopping by, hello, how you doing? My name is Chad. I own Team Floppy Ears LLC right alongside my beautiful wife, Kyla Gabriel herself. And well, I suppose I could start this story off by saying it all began with a little pit bulldog called Rosie. She's 10 years old and she's sitting right there. That one. Boop. That one. That's Joe. She's one. That's her successor. Rosie's the predecessor. She's the successor. Jolie. Anyway. Where do I start, man? I was a professional athlete for 10 years, and I probably still think that's who I am in my mind. That doesn't really necessarily go away. But I had retired from the game of baseball in 2000 and I believe 13, like officially. And you know, I grew up around dogs. My mom owned a dog grooming shop, which really allowed me a really nice childhood. I mean, my mom made good money, and so I was really well taken care of and spoiled, and that might sort of come back into play in this story down the line. So just remember that, and we'll get back to that. Never really knew what a hard day's work was, right? Like even all the way up past, you know, I mean, I worked hard at baseball and I was really naturally gifted, and I enjoyed showing up and playing hard, but that's a different type of work ethic. In any case, let's rewind. When I finally retired from a 10-year career in professional sports, I was just like thrown back into what felt like the real world, like the regular world, because as a professional athlete, that's not the real world, not even in the least. I mean, let me just a quick breakdown of like what like a day for me was. 3 o'clock, you show up to the yard. You get ready for batting practice. You get out there, you take batting practice, you do your fielding drills, you come back inside, you let the other team go out there and do their thing. Come 7 o'clock, you got a game. You play a game that goes till 10 o'clock. You go out afterwards, you do what you do, you wake up, you sleep in, you do whatever you do. 3 o'clock come around, all you got to do is be prepared to play a game at 7 p.m. They don't give a shit. That as long as you show up and you perform, hey man, do what you do. And if you don't perform, you get fired. We had a 10-year career, so you could probably assume that I showed up and I played hard, regardless of if I was out all night drinking or partying or whatever. I was good at that. I was good at, you know, experiencing life to the fullest and showing up and performing that next day, regardless. I mean, probably some of my best games I ever had was hungover or stoned. So it was, it didn't really make a whole lot of sense. But that probably just sort of explains a little bit of the type of natural ability that I had in the game. And the only thing I think about in terms of like regret is like, I wonder how far I would have gotten had I just kind of like maybe eased up a little bit on like the exploration of the world and the seeking of the good times, which I honestly don't really have regrets, because I could probably write a book and there's not enough memory on this phone for me to sit here and talk about all the extremely fun and interesting and wild experiences that I've had in my life. I oftentimes think about how I've already lived a full life, and that if I had died today at 38 years old, I had done more than most people have done in their entire 75 to 100 years. And that's a fact. And I'm grateful for that. It's what brings me solace. But at the same time, I have to sort of check that, because I got a lot of life to live. And I knew that when I retired and became super depressed about not having baseball anymore, and sort of like this sort of almost like a PTSD type of vibe going back into civilization. It was like, fuck, what am I going to do now? I was every day thinking about how shitty, you know, getting thrown into the real world is when you go from literally living like this dream life for 10 years to like this life where like, okay, you got bills now. You got to work a normal job to make that money. When my teams used to always take care of all of that for me. I had my lodging, my food, all my gear, like I had everything paid for. So like bills and expenses wasn't really a thing that I was used to having to take care of myself. So I think it's a really unlikely story, the one that I have. But if there was like something inspirational when I look at my personal story, if there's something that could really like, I think, inspire people, like people that think they have like no hope or there's like no hope for them, I'm certainly that story, because I felt like I was in a position where I was pretty hopeless and I did not know what the fuck I was going to do. And it's pretty simple, the solution. If you're watching this video and you're like, yeah, that's me right now. The only thing that I used was the thing that like lit my eyes up again, the thing that really inspired me again. When I was bummed the fuck out, I didn't have anything that was jacking me up. I had like this new job that I hated, right, which was construction. I had a big, capable, able body. They threw me onto a construction crew and said, here, pass me the broom, bitch. So that was like really super demoralizing for me. But as I started to do that, I started to learn skills and trades and things like that, which turned out to be really valuable for me. But at the time, I didn't see that value. I was like, fuck this, right? And that was good in a sense. It was good and bad. It was good in the sense that I knew there was probably something more for me because I had more to offer. I felt like I had more to give to the world aside from, passing the boss the broom, right? But at the same time, I learned a whole lot of things that I'm utilizing in my life today as a business owner. I built everything around here. I fixed my own house, roof leaks, clogged drains. I mean, you name it. It doesn't matter. Like those are just two recent things that have happened that I've fixed myself. I don't call anybody. I do it myself, and I'm so grateful for that. But again, at the time, I wasn't really grateful for those experiences and for that information that I was acquiring through that really rough patch for me. But again, this is a video about how I got into dog training, and it all stems from that little pig right there, Rosie. We named her Rosie. I got her from a Craigslist ad. Wouldn't change it for the world. Would I ever get a Craigslist dog again? Absolutely not. But you don't know until you know, right? But I still wouldn't trade it. She changed everything for me. And if you're still watching this video and you remember a couple of moments back where I said you just need that thing that lights you up again, that's the thing. That's the thing right there. She changed everything for me. I always wanted a dog, I always wanted a dog. And so I was a traveling baseball player. I couldn't get a dog, right? And so when I retired, I just suddenly one day, I had a girlfriend at the time, and I was like, hey, like, let's get a dog. Like, this is the most random thought I ever had. It's like, I was living in a little apartment in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas at the time. And I was like, fuck, dude, I can get a dog. So first place I thought to think, I know they have dogs on Craigslist. Got on there. She was the last one of a litter of I don't even know how many. Sweet little Mexican lady, didn't speak a lick of English, but fortunately yo puedo hablar español poquito. So yeah, I drove right on over there, and she's like 300, and I'm like solamente tengo 200. So like basically I got it for $200 because that's all I had when she was asking for $300, and she's like, okay, so she took it. Can you imagine she said, no, I'm not taking $200? You wouldn't be watching this video right now. Isn't that a fucking wild trip to think about? I wouldn't have this, flourishing dog training business. I wouldn't have never met Kyla, and I wouldn't have my 5-year-old baby girl. That is insane. That is insane. All because she lit my fire again when I was just completely dwindled. My flame had been put completely out when I was like this super, everybody loved to be around me. I was super happy all the time, to a guy that was just unhappy and complaining. It was a 180. I was in a very shitty space in my life. And then when she came back into it, it was like, there's Chad again, because I loved her so much. And it was just like, that's really all I needed. I just needed something to really be passionate about again, because without passion, without putting your heart into things, it's really hard for anything to really flourish. It's really hard for anything to continue, because that's the type of thing that's going to get you up every single day. And obviously, like, it's no news to you. Like, that's what's sort of necessary to achieve anything great. Getting up every day with hopes to just like inch your way closer or whatever. But I didn't have any idea that the inspiration that she gave me was going to lead to something so amazing. As I sit here and I tell this story, I'm just super grateful, because sometimes I lose that gratitude because I get tied up in my everyday. But like, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful. I'm so happy. Thanks for watching the video, and thanks for dealing with that getting a little bit weird right there. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you've watched this far. It helps me out a lot. I'm trying to build it up a little bit. And this is just a really compacted, consolidated portion of the story. But what got me into dog training was Rosie, because Rosie's the one that led me to Kyla. Kyla reached out to me for some business at the beginning, and then, it was like a calendar. She used Rosie for the calendar. Kyla and I hit it off. Kyla was a dog trainer under another dude that was like over in Corona, the same city we live in now. And then when I realized Rosie was a nightmare in terms of her behavior and stuff, which I had already realized that, I was struggling with her immensely. But when I started to learn how to sort of address those things from Kyla, that's when I was already lit back up, mind you, because I had her. And then all of a sudden I found something. I didn't even know dog training was a thing. I'm going to be straight up. And when I started to learn about that, it just, my enthusiasm that I had for baseball went right to dog training. And that's why I'm so grateful, because it's an unlikely thing to find like a second passion, baseball was so significant to me. I was almost like born to do that. And then when you lose that, it's like you lose your identity and you lose everything, and then you go straight to a bad place. And so for me to have her in my life was the biggest blessing that I've ever had, because she's the one that led me to all these current blessings that I have now. And I couldn't be more grateful for that. And I know I've said that a million times, but I really truly am, because I honestly don't know where I would be without her. I don't know what my life would have led to. I got a family with some history of like drug use and things like that. Perhaps I would have turned to that. Perhaps I wouldn't even be here today if it wasn't for Rosie. I don't know that to be true or not. All I know is I just couldn't imagine what my life would be without her. And she's the one that really gave me all the inspiration and the motivation to do something good with my life. So that's probably much more I could tell about this story. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments or whatever. I got a Patreon page if you'd like to subscribe to that. There's a link in my Instagram bio. You can check that out. But that's all I really got for this video. Rosie's the reason I got into dog training. She showed me that I did have the ability to turn behaviors around. And then when that happened, I started taking dogs in, rescuing dogs, whatever. People were moving. I'd go chase them down on the street, and I got a lot of practice in. Probably did like 100 dogs, and proved to myself that I could create change in a dog's behavior. And I'm still learning. I'm 50 times better than I used to be, obviously. I've learned from a lot of different great minds, and I continue to learn, and the dogs continue to teach me. I think they're our greatest teachers, to be honest. So, as time progressed, we ended up getting pregnant. Okay, I guess the story continues. We ended up getting pregnant, and when that happened, I was working demolition. This is something like, 5-6 years ago. I was living on my mom's floor because she took me back in, because I moved back to California from Texas, and I was just living on her floor. She'd come in. I remember she used to come in, and she's worried about her son, She used to come in, and I'm sleeping in every day, waiting on a phone call, hoping there's like work for me, right? As a guy that's just working for a small little company that has demolition work for me from time to time. And she'd be like, hey man, get the fuck up. Like, you need to do something. And then I remember this. Now, don't take this the wrong way, because my mom's my biggest fan, and I love my mom like with every fiber of my being. But she used to say things like, when are you going to do something with your life? And like all these things. And at the time I was just like, fuck that. We get in like, I was like, I got Team Floppy Ears. And at the time it was just a social media page. Like, and she used to be like, well, that's a cool hobby, but you need to like do something. You know what I mean? And like that shit like gutted me. But Team Floppy Ears on my Instagram page and Rosie was like the only thing I had. You know, it was like the only thing that I had really that made me happy and fulfilled. And so I held on to that and I kept going. I kept building my page. And then next thing I know, when we got pregnant with Peyton, deer in the headlights. I had to support my family. And then I was like, well, I guess I could. At that point, I had like practiced a lot of dog training. And I was like, I guess I could start telling people I train dogs. And then, you know, here we are, 5-6 years later, and you know, the company does over 6 figures a year, and it's just incredible. I haven't really told this story in such detail for some time, and I'm just like really blown away that I'm in this position now, and I'm sort of ashamed at the moments where I feel not a whole lot of gratitude, because that happens to me even now. Perhaps maybe because like sometimes I think of even bigger things and I'm not there yet, you know. But then I realized, like, if this is all I ever achieved, then this is the thing that I could be as happy. I could be happy till the day I die if I don't get any bigger, if I don't expand, or if I don't, you know, scale the business any further than I already have, because I've already done such amazing things. And I'll continue to do amazing things, because if I could give you any advice, if you're a dog trainer and you do have a company right now and you want to continue succeeding, it's just about having good intentions and wanting to do a good job for your people and being extremely fair to these dogs, and understanding that, you know, it's not about the knowledge you have. Put the ego to the side, put the dogs first, get your results as fair and as appropriately as you can, and care about the people that you serve. And I promise you, everybody's going to tell everyone else about you when they leave here, because that's what happens with us. You watch my Instagram socials, you don't ever see me saying, hey, you know, availability this, availability that. I don't really promote my business like that, because I've always got people coming through here. I don't really necessarily have to do that. So anyway, that's what I got for you today. It's an 18-minute long video. This breaks the record for the longest YouTube video I've ever posted. There's probably a lot more to this story, but that's just a little consolidated breakdown for you. Captain Chad, like and subscribe. Toodle Pip. We'll see you next time. Shout out to the MMA Guru too, because that's where I just got Toodle Pip from. Peace.